first of all, I would like to extend my sincere deep sense of gratitude to Team IoT for organizing such a wonderful event. Very frequently they organize for this FTP. It's it's a very welcoming sign. I thank them for providing me an opportunity to share my views here on this topic, research methodology. With respect to the participants, first of all, I apologize for the delay in starting the event due to some network issues. Today's topic, research methodology, is one of my favorite topics. Let me just go to the topic today. Research, the term is almost familiar for every one of us, but there are certain drawbacks that makes this term to be very. Is the slide visible, ma'am? Is the slide visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, is the slide visible?
Yes, ma'am. I am presenting from my end, ma'am.
Slide, is the slide visible?
Ma'am, I am presenting the slide from my end, ma'am. Is it visible, ma'am?
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Then
it is absolutely clearly visible, madam. Madam Shubhalakshmi can proceed.
Shall I stop my presenting then? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'll be presenting, ma'am. You can just continue, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You are presenting from your side, okay?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay, yes. Ma'am, yes, ma'am. It is visible for me. Okay. Okay, ma'am. Okay, then next slide, ma'am. Ma'am, next slide. So before getting into this topic, research methodology, I just like to share with you my personal views on this term research. This topic, the PhD, what research work we are doing, maybe a PhD, for postdoctorate or PhD. So in that case,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
yes. So in that case, research is something that need to be initiated prior to our registration process. So only then we'll be able to have a clarity, and the process will go in a smoother way. This many of us, even I was unaware, but I got the guidance of one of my professors. That's why I started my work, and that I could personally experience like how it was very easy for me to complete my research work and submit my thesis well in advance. So this is a very basic requirement that every one of us should understand. People here who are attending this, there may be many young people here, so who aspire to go for their research work. So any research work should be initiated prior.
Dear participants, our research person has some network disturbances. She'll join us soon. We will continue with the session soon. We are very sorry for the inconvenience caused today. Thank you.
Ma'am? Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, am I audible? Ma'am, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear
Yes.
you, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, I just want the before slide, ma'am.
This
Yes,
one,
yes,
ma'am.
ma'am. The next, ma'am. Yes, next. Yes. So, ma'am, no, before, the before one. Yes, please, yes. So, before getting into this topic, I just want to share with you the literal, the etymological meaning of this term research. So, research, the first thing is we should understand is it is re and search. This is how we need to understand this term. It is research, that is, we are not doing something, a great invention. It is a discovery. So something that already exists. So we are just giving it from a different dimension. So that is our role there in a research work. So that is why we use this term. It is a research. We are researching already that is existing. So discovery. So just you can what we look at the screen. There is a very good uh, elaboration of this word. R is a rational way of thinking. E is expert and exhaustive treatment. S is search for solutions. E is exactness. A, analytical analysis of adequate data. R is the relationship between fact and theory. So this is very, very important. And C is constructive, critical, cautious, careful. So all these terms are involved in a research. And H, through the end, it comes research ethics. That is honesty, hard work. So this is how we can define this term research. Next slide, ma'am. So when you get into the meaning of this term, so it is a systematic analysis. It is a method, a system. So where we focus a problem, we formulate a hypothesis. So based on the hypothesis, based on the problem, we collect data, we collect relevant information, we analyze it, then we come for a conclusion and we give a solution for the problem, or we can even go for the generalized solution. So which should be based on the hypothetical statement that we have given. So this is very, very important. So hypothesis that we have given, our result, our conclusion should coincide with the hypothesis. Yes, next, ma'am. So this is small a diagrammatic representation of the process of research methodology. So how we initiate, we identify a research question, and the first step that we have to do is we need to go for review of literature. This is the step by what I share with you now is the step-by-step way of conducting a research. So this is my personal experience. This is how I have done my research work, and it came out well. So first thing is we have to go for a review of literature. So the area of study that we have taken, and what are all the other, I mean, who are all the other people who have done on this area, and to what extent they have done, and the scope of the scope for further research. So this topic would be there in every thesis. So every concluding chapter will have a subtopic as scope for future research or scope for further research. So whatever the terms that are being used. So we need to look into that. That is very, very important, because that is the initiative for our research in the specific area. So literature, review of literature is very, very important before we go in for primary sources and secondary sources. Next comes, we need, based on that, we start we start going for this hypothesis, our problem, the problem for which we are going to find a solution. So hypothetical statement, hypothesis. Next is we need to go in for a research design. That is how we are going to conduct the conduct of the research, the plan, the work schedule. So this is very, very important. Without a plan, without a work schedule, research won't be a complete one, and the time factor is very, very important. So that is why you could find many people come out with the statement saying, I have been doing research for so many years, 5 years, 6 years, still I am not able to complete, because it is because lack of proper planning. So planning is very, very important. Next step is, once we have planned, this is the time we are going to do this, this is the time we are going to collect data, this is the time we are going to spend for analysis, this is the time frame we are going to spend for collecting secondary sources. So all these we need to have a very good breakup, very good plan. So based on that, the next step we'll go for is collection of data. Based on that, next is we go for analyzing all those data that we have collected, whether all those that we have collected have relevance with our area of study. So that is very, very important. Next is the disseminating result. So analyzing, next is we come for the conclusion. That is, we come for the solution, whether this solution meets the requirements of the hypothesis, the statement that we have given. Yes, friends. Ma'am, next, ma'am. Ma'am, next. Yes. So, research in a common parlance, it refers to the search for knowledge. So, we are just searching. Is research, as I told you before. So, once we define it, either it can be scientific, so it can be humanities, research, whatever it is, the terms differ. When we look into the term research methodology with respect to various field of study, arts and science, science, law, pharmacy, whichever field of study we go, basic is the same. So certain technical terms and scientific terms only differ with respect to the field, but basic procedures are all, we have uniformity. You could find that there is no such difference amongst field of study, excepting the terms that we use and the methodology of conducting research. And we find it may be a scientific or a search for pertinent information on a particular topic. Ultimately, it is a scientific, it is an art. Research is an art. So art, what we do, we go in for investigation, scientific investigation. Next, ma'am. So the research methodology, it's a specific procedure or technique. We identify, we select a process, we analyze the information, and based on all these, we need to raise two questions. A researcher, any researcher who is conducting their research, we always need to question ourselves very frequently, friends, because only then we will be able to confine, or we'll be able to have clarity whether the path we are moving towards research is the exact one, whether we will get to the end point that satisfies the hypothesis statement. So how was the data collected or generated? How was it analyzed? So these questions we need to ask ourselves. So if we are able to answer these two questions, then we are on the right track. Next, ma'am. So when we go for this definition, so it is defined as a highly intellectual human activity. So investigation of nature. So specifically with manner, how to collect data. That is also an art. How to collect data, how to analyze data, how to interpret data. So that is why we need to, first step is we need to go in for study of review of literature. I mean literature review. That is the first step. Once we have done it, then automatically we'll be able to do our research in a perfect manner. So we need to have a system of model, procedures, techniques, how to get into the result. So everything, how to resolve the problem. So everything we will have a very broad idea when we go in for literature review. Next, ma'am. So now, methodology. So we talk about methodology. So how to define method and method? How does the difference between method and methodology? So this is a very basic term which every one of us are familiar with. So methodology, it's a study of general approach, and method is like the scientific techniques, tools, procedure, very specific. So there is a slide, you could find there is a slight difference between these two terms. So we need to be clear with these two terms before initiating our research. So for example, you could find on the screen research methods in economics. If it is in the field of economics, then naturally they will go in for mathematical analysis, surveys, data gathering, and what you call a statistical analysis will be there. So these all is it is a part and parcel of the field of economics. So like this, there will be slight difference with the fields, but the basic structure is the same for all the departments. Next, ma'am. So we'll find a very, you'll find what you see on the screen is the process, the chain, how to continue the chain of research. So first is we formulate the problem. Yes. Next step is we go in for extensive literature survey. Next is we develop a hypothesis. Next is prepare research design, how we are going to do. Next is determining the sample design. Next, we go in for collection of data. Next, execute the project. Next, analysis, hypothesis. Next, we connect hypothesis, testing, whether the first step that we initiated coincide with the last step. Next is interpretation. Next is we prepare the final is how we draft the thesis. That is what you call research report. Yes. Next, ma'am. Ma'am, next slide. Yes. So, according to the Advanced Learners Dictionary, so this is a careful investigation, especially through facts in any branch of knowledge, and it is a systemized effort. So, to gain knowledge, this is considered as a movement. That is what I said at the beginning. It is a discovery, research. It is a voyage of discovery. Like for example, in our childhood days, we have studied Columbus discovered America. Yes. So the same way, something that is it is a voyage for us. Every researcher the conduct of research is a voyage for him or her. So it is a voyage we proceed towards discovering discovering the fact that is already there. We are just bringing out to limelight. So that is where our job is, and we are not inventing anything. Yes, so that we go, that we can get along with the science, and even then somebody might have done it prior, and we are just continuing their research. So it is a discovery. Yes, ma'am. Next, ma'am. Ma'am, next slide.
Ma'am, I have changed, ma'am.
Okay, next is objectives. So every research, it has an objective. So what is this objective actually? So to gain familiarity. So whatever the phenomena or whatever we do, we need to gain familiarity with it. Next is accuracy. Yes, the characteristics of the particular situation or the group, whatever it is, whatever the area we are working with. So portray accurately the characteristic. Next is we determine the frequency. This is how we diagnose the research study. Next is we test the hypothesis, the hypothetical statement that we have given. So we go in for testing whether we meet out the statement during every step. No, like while even when data collection, when we go in for primary source, secondary source. So hypothesis should be there in our mind at every point of time. We have to find out, yes, do I need a hypothesis? So this question should be there within ourselves, within a researcher all the time till the research work completes. Next, ma'am. So the purpose. So what is the main purpose of doing research? Why should we do? We review, right? So some existing knowledge. We review the existing knowledge. That is what I said. We view it from a different dimension. So we investigate, we provide solution, we explore and we analyze, we construct, we explain new phenomena. So we when we give it from a new dimension, it becomes a new knowledge. We generate new knowledge. Yes, ma'am. So we have three. When we go in for purpose, we have three purposes, basic purpose, all the fields. It is common to all the fields. So one is explanatory. Another is predictive. The third one is control. That is explanatory research. So it attempts to explain, like explanatory, right? From the term, we would be able to identify. So the reasons, explain the reason, and the researcher, they use theories, hypothesis. We need to give proper explanation for the reason for what we are doing. And predictive. So it is a theory that we keep, that we try to connect with our research work. Next is control. Control is we should be able to replicate the scenario, the outcome, the objective, whether our work has satisfied the objective, because objective will be given right at the beginning of the research. Yes, so in that case we have to identify whether our work meets the objective, whether our work meets the hypothesis. So these two, then and there, we have to correlate and find out. Next, ma'am. So questions. So we should pose, as I told you, questioning ourselves. So research questions. What is the purpose of this research question? Why should I question? See, research is, we find a solution, not merely, we need to raise so many questions to ourselves. That is what research is. Only then we can explore. So the main purpose is we need to define what is the scope. That is what I said. Scope for further research, scope for future research, whatever it is, whatever we initiate, what is going to be the scope of this work. First, we need to have a clarity of this. Next is to determine what is to be and studied, and to what extent. We have certain limitations, right? We can't keep going in a very broad sense. We derive, we start with a broader sense and we narrow it down and confine it. That is very important. So in that case, how should we study? So this idea should be there. And the researcher always they are distracted from the original objectives. Many a times, every researcher faces the situation. We are bit distracted from the original objectives that we have given. So then and there, that is why I said then and there we have to just correlate. We have to question ourselves. So then we'll be having a clear idea whether we are on the right path. Next is influence of new. When we come across new ideas, new reading or discussion with the colleagues, then naturally we come across various views. Then automatically we'll have an oscillated mind. Am I right? This is wrong. This approach is wrong. Then I should change this. So this sort of mental disturbances will be there with all the researchers. So how to overcome it? Our research hypothesis, our objective is important for us. Like all the external views, all those that we get, we can have it, but that should never deviate us from our original objective. So please, we should bear this in our mind. Next, ma'am. So we have certain types of these what you come across on the screen is a very basic type. So basic types of research. So first is empirical research. Empirical research is we simply observe the fact and we interact with people, and we just give the whatever we have got, the feedback we have got through questionnaires or anything. So we just give it. So this is empirical. Next is library. So it is normally done in a library situation, a library study. Next is social research. So this research, it focuses on human groups and social interaction. So it depends on the field of study, not for all the study, but this is a basic one. Next is scientific research. So whether the knowledge that we give, they are verifiable, whether it can be checked by others for accuracy. So this is where, just like that, we cannot give anything, right? So when somebody checks it, we should our ideas should be appropriate, and it should be a verifiable one. We should have proper evidence of whatever we do. Next, ma'am. So certain guidelines which we come across through the research process. When we start a research process, so what are the basic guidelines? So formulating the problem, extensive literature survey, hypothesis, designing, sample, data, execution, analysis, and hypothesis testing, as I said. So these are the steps that are involved. Generalization, so preparation of report. Next, ma'am. So types. So this you come across the types of research methodology. So far we have the first part of our session is over, introduction. So now the next step is type. So every research, it has to fix under any one of these types that you come across on the screen now, where we are going to fix. So our the clarity should be with us, whether it is a quantitative research or a qualitative research, or is it a descriptive research or analytical research. So under which category we are going to fix our research. So this is the next step that should be there in the mind of every researcher. Yes. So applied research, or is it a fundamental research, exploratory, conclusive, or is it a survey-based research, or is it a case study research? So under all these that you around 10 categories you come across. So amongst these 10 categories, which category our research falls under which category? So this should be there clear in the mind of every researcher. This is the next step we are going to do. Next, ma'am. So the general category. So we have certain distinctions here. So when we go for this general category, general is quantitative, qualitative is very general for all the branch of study. Next is nature of the study. So what is the nature of the study that we are doing? Is it a descriptive one or it is based on analytical? Yes. Next is purpose. Is it applied or merely fundamental? So you can categorize. You can have this as your subheadings when you write your thesis. So research design. Is it an exploratory or a conclusive one? Or the data type, whether it is a primary research or is it a secondary research. So these are the various categories under which you can divide, under which we can uh, 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 fix our work. Next, ma'am. So this is a slight overview. The same, you could find all those, either quantitative, qualitative, or the mixed method. You have mixed method where quantitative, qualitative, both we can find in in any research. So it is not in all, but few exceptional researchers we can find both. So it is also a type of research. Next, ma'am. So these two are the basic approaches, as I told you, quantitative and qualitative, right? So quantitative, it deals with inferential, experimental, and simulation approaches. And while qualitative it is concerned with attitudes, that is assessment of subject assessment attitudes, opinions, and behavior. So this is a basic difference between these two. Next, ma'am. So what you find here is the primary data. So the data that we collect, the primary data, the four ways of collecting primary data: exploratory, descriptive, causal. So amongst these, so observational research, focus group research. So these are the two categories. So observing, next is a focus is 6 to 10 people invited to spend some time. So to be a moderator, and how to find out our research, the worthiness of our work. So next is survey. So the magnitude of the work that we have done, the survey that we have conducted. Next is the confidence. Experimental researches, like it is based on the confidence level. Confidence level is ultimately based on the conclusion that we give. Yes. Next, ma'am. So these three methods again, you could find as a bulletin points. So very important points where the steps that we need to take care while the execution of this research. So qualitative, individual meaning, open-ended question, collecting data from participant setting. So we can categorize how that is what I said, the process of conducting research, how we are going to do amongst these three. So if it is quantitative, we test the relationship variables. We go in for technicalities here. So close-ended question we give numerical data, we use statistical analysis, so theories, so report. So all these are quantitative. Yes, friends. Next is mixed methods. These two will be the combination of these two is what will be found in a particular research. Next, ma'am. So this is the next what we find is primary research, secondary research. So what is this primary research and what is the secondary research? So primary research is like, right from the term, we could identify the first-hand information. Yes, the issue that we are dealing with, the first-hand information that we get is what a primary research focus on. And we conduct the survey by ourselves, and it is based on raw data. We don't analyze anything. We just simply get the data and we give it. That is what you call raw data. And the process, it takes a long time and it is a bit expensive because you need to get for a doctorate. Every university has certain limitations, like this many data should be there. For example, 500 samples should be collected, feedback should be collected. So like this, it differs from university to university. So in that case, so it takes naturally a longer time to finish the work. So when we come to the secondary research, so whatever is acquired through primary, we go in for the next step. So it is carried by someone else, not the researcher by himself or herself. So it is purely based on how we examine and interpret. Yes. So ultimately, like how the information can be broomed in an appropriate, we give a shape. This is nothing but the next step of giving a shape to the data that we have collected. Yes. Next. So fundamental research, applied research, what we have mentioned there. So what is this fundamental is like we enhance the fundamentals of discipline, like the various branches of study. So fundamental research, we go in for theory and we assume all the variables there. So reports, they are written in technical language. So it is not in a normal language, it is highly technical because we use more of technical terms there. And applied research, normally it is written in a standard language and the variables are constant there, and the scope for application, like we address a problem in a very common way. Yes, applied, so that everybody could understand, yes, what the study is based on. Next, ma'am. So this is a few more elaboration, all this. Here practical problem, here general problem, fundamental applied. So here generalization, here immediate solution for it. So like this, it differs. Next, ma'am. Quantitative. So when we take this quantitative method, so it is true experiment research. Quasi experiment, non experiment. So we have various. So you have examples also. You could find examples given there within brackets. So survey based and a single subject study. Here controlled. In it involves randomized treatment of subjects. Next is it is less rigorous, and no treatment, I mean, involves no treatment of, it is not subjective. So like this, it differs, it varies depending on the field of study. Next. So here the phases that a researcher undergoes. So first phase is understanding the problem. Yes. So activity, what we do is symptoms, observation, interview. And the outcome of it is we get a clear problem. So the clarity of what the problem is. Second step is design and development. So when we go for this design and development, that it involves the activity that we are expected to initiate here is the research and development methodology. So here, depending on our subject, we going for analyzing that. So this outcome is prototype. Next is testing. Testing is we going for expert opinion, expert user. So naturally, the outcome will be feedback. Yes. Next, ma'am. So here we come across various phases. Yes. So problem phase, and for that activities, identify problem, identify objective, literary review. This is a very checklist like what you see on the screen is a checklist like which will be helpful for an initiated, I mean, researcher, a person who has initiated research. So the basic requirements we categorize under 4 phases. So which will be helpful for us to carry on the research procedure. Phase 2 is we identify the usability metrics. So the techniques that we are going to employ, and the evaluation. So whatever it is. So phase 3 again, application. So next here, how are we going to design it? Next is verification, expert review. So this is how a broad category. Next, ma'am. Ma'am, next. So now what are the pros and cons? We talk about qualitative, quantitative. So what are the pros and cons of these two? So qualitative pros and cons, when you take the pros and cons of qualitative, we can find examines attitudes and behavior in depth. So discussion allows flexibility, and the cons is high possibility of sample selection. So lack of privacy. So collection of data, naturally, it takes a long time. So this is a drawback. And here quantitative is greater sample size, quicker and simple. Information is anonymous. And the cons is again, survey is response is limited, so it is a bit expensive. So this is a very short idea about it. Next, ma'am. So this is again a few more information about this quantitative and qualitative with respect to general framework, analytic objective, question format, data format, so flexibility. So all these are a few more added information you could find here. Next, ma'am. So now uh, I just want to take a few areas, right? So let me just start with the legal research. Yes. So legal research, it is defined as an art as well as a skill. Yes. So it calls for judgment, creativity, mastery of a set of tools and techniques, because it is highly connected with civic. So in that case, so they have to be hyper careful. Yes. So each question will have a starting point, a process, conclusion. So everything in a very synchronized way. And every project will include false starts, dead ends, and revisions. So this is how a person who maybe many of you here might have been. I mean, you may be from a legal background. So this is how legal research defines their, according to your terminology, their terminology, they define legal research. So there is never one right path. So every researcher, they choose different path for the same research question. This is what I said. We view it from a different dimension. That is very, very important. Point is the same. Like we have so many small, what do you call, our own uh, telltale stories, not telltale, I should say, child stories which we have been using over the years. So night stories, what you call grandma, grandpa stories, like the point for concentration. So like it is similar to this. So you can correlate that here. So where we could find uh, 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 you could find even like how we view this, how the other person view. So this is where the research differs. And we cannot say only I am right and the other person is wrong, or the other person is right, I am wrong. Never. So everybody is right according to their own uh, uh, dimension, their approach, their view of this problem. So everyone have their own solution. We cannot claim to say that I am right and that is wrong. There is no such statement there in any research work. And legal research is never finished. Yes, an experienced researcher, we are there only to stop at a particular point, because we cannot keep going. No, we need to stop somewhere. So we stop, and that is why we give the suggestion with the scope for future research, whatever that could be done in a different way, we give it in the scope. So that is why every research ends. Next, ma'am. So legal research, so process of finding law that governs activity and materials and analyze the law. And legal research, inquiry and investigation made by just judges, lawyers. So this is again what literary review is. Literature review, this is in a way we can call literature review. So deeper, fuller understanding. It is a process of identifying, retrieving information, decision making. So we need to have everything in fingertip. Then and there. See, one thing I want to share at this juncture, any researcher, maybe any field of study, kindly make it a point that when once you have initiated, once a person has initiated research work, what we need to cultivate the habit of reading newspapers and magazines, not e-books and e-magazines or such, right? Printed material, because those are all very good source of information regarding present happenings. So that is very, very important in a research work. We give updated information. not theories or something that is being said many years before. We give updation, so that gives added credibility to our research work. So please make it a point that whatever the relevant information we come across in a magazine or a newspaper or a supplementary, whatever it is, so kindly just immediately collect it with proper entries. That is very, very important. Bibliographic details, where we came across, when, what, how, and all those details, so that we incorporate it. This adds credibility to our, it gives weightage to our thesis. Next, ma'am. So steps, the various steps involved in a legal research. Point number 1, we begin a project. Point number 2, selection of the topic. Point number 3, justification, purpose, relevance. And point number 4, designing the question. And point number 5, designing the hypothesis. Next is literature review. We outline the research, conceptual and theoretical framework, originality. So we have 9 steps involved in a legal research. Next, ma'am. So the basic types of legal research. So doctrine legal research, interdisciplinary, pure research, applied legal research. So these 4 are the broad categories of, types of legal research. Next, ma'am. So, objective of a legal research, uh, 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 nature and scope, examine legal principles, and nature and composition of legal institution, relevance, weaknesses of the existing. See, all the laws that we have right now is not, we cannot say all are so strong. Depending on the changing lifestyle, there are many weaknesses. So, based on the present day world, we need to modify. In that case, what are the weaknesses that you find? And analysis, comparative analysis, advantages and disadvantages of law, and actual situation, requirements, and these all is the basic objective of any legal research. Next, ma'am. So when you go for this objective of a legal research, so first academic objects, second is utilitarian objects. Yes, ma'am. Yes, friends. So academic is acquisition of knowledge. Yes, and utilitarian is it is to understand the social life, greater measure over social behavior, and familiarity, discovering new facts. So all these are the basic objectives. Next, ma'am. So the approaches, analytical approach, interdisciplinary, socio-legal, comparative, historical. So the 5 approaches of a legal study. Yes, ma'am. So the steps involved. Point number 1, where to start? Ask these questions. What are the facts? What is the legal issue? What is the jurisdiction of this? Step number 2 is find primary sources of law, secondary sources, primary sources, and key handouts, and many such. Step number 3 is make sure you are using good law. Yes. Next is why. Use a citator. So this is the 3 steps that are involved in a legal research. I took up legal research because I came across the university. It is a background is law. So I thought I could just give you a very small note about it also. Next, ma'am. So importance. So what is the importance of legal research? So we focus on facts and evidences. Law is there. So constitution. So investigators, they uncover facts while researchers find the law. So this is a basic difference between these 2 words. So with this, idea, the background idea, any person who is in the field of legal studies can initiate their research. Next, ma'am. Ma'am, next slide. So the importance or the purpose of legal research. So we ascertain the law on a given topic, and we highlight the weaknesses, the ambiguities of the existing law. We examine, a researcher examine legal provisions. So what are the principles, stability of the law, and the underlying policy, any such. Next, ma'am. Ma'am, next slide. So this, what you come across here is applied economics. Second example, in the field of economics. So in the field of economics, it is always economics, as we know, the term is always connected to business. Yes. So economy as a whole. So what about the impact of it in the modern times? So the increasing complex nature of business, the government focus, use of research. So everything is connected in the field of economics. Next, ma'am. So the increased amount of research in the field of economics, it makes progress possible. Progress in this is because it is connected with the social life. Economics is business, and business is ultimately connected with the social life. So we all are invariably, we are interdependent. So research in the field of economics, it inculcates a scientific inductive thinking and logical habits of thinking, organizing. So all these are involved in the field of economics. Next. So significance, yes. So in that case, how to use the resources. So alternative course of action, like the alternatives that we can give. So investment problem for students, research career, for it's a careerism for them. And it solves many operational and planning problems, in the field of especially in industry, in an industrial setup and a business setup. Next, ma'am. So here, what you come across, please, this is a very important slide, viewers, because we research with respect to various people. First is for a student who are to write a master's or a PhD thesis. They may mean it as a careerism, right? So careerism, or a way to attain high position. For a professional, research methodology, research means a source of livelihood. And coming to philosophers and thinkers, right? So research, it may mean outlet of new ideas and insights. Next is to literary men and women, right? For them, research mean development of new style, creative work. And to an analyst or an intellectual, research is something that means the generalization of new theories. So here, what you come across, these 5 points, it varies from individual to individual. So to this person, to a professional, what research mean? To a ordinary men and women, what does this term mean? To a philosopher, what does it mean? So it varies from individual to individual. Next, ma'am. So why should we know this research methodology? Because we need to have a proper discipline, in other words, what you call disciplined thinking, right? So our thinking should be a discipline. We need to have a self-disciplined thinking. So in order to achieve that, because only then our research will be a fruitful one. So it will be a commanding one. So in that case, we need to have a proper objective. Next is how it helps in various fields. Our research work should be in some way connected to the society. In what way our solution to the problem helps the society at a greater extent, to a large extent. So this is very, very important. Next is intelligent decision. So based on this, we expect certain decisions to be taken and certain changes to be done that will help the society. Next is rational decisions, right? So these are the basic reasons why we go in for knowing like what is before initiating, why should we know this research methodology. Next. So now the last part, I have divided my speech into three. So second part is over. Now third is ethics. So every research should follow proper research ethics. So when we call this, according to Oxford Dictionary, ethics, we are all familiar. We are all a teaching fraternity here. So we are all familiar with the term ethics. So ethics, moral principle. So what is this research ethics? That is very, very important. So it is specific. It is a specific term. So interested in the analysis of ethical issues. So when a person is involved or a part is, because we are involving public here, we get a feedback, we analyze something. So naturally people are involved, participants are involved. So in that case, we have to be very ethical in giving the feedbacks of what we have received. So for this, we have to maintain certain decorum, so that our workers, it is placed in an elated position. Next, ma'am. So research ethics. So the appropriateness of the researcher's behavior in relation to the rights and fair treatment of the subject. So this is very, very important. How we treat the subject, how we treat the research work, and or people who are affected. So nobody should be affected. People should be only benefited from the research, right? So this should be every researcher should bear this in their mind before initiating their research. So it is related to research subject, research facilitators, research collaborators, research users. So we have so many ways how we connect this term ethics with research. Ma'am, next, ma'am. Oh, now we come across a very simple diagrammatic representation of this. So where we find, let us start from the top, their integrity. Yes. So research ethics, we need to have a background idea of all these. So integrity, respect, rules, regulations, justice, dignity, confidentiality, so competence, moral principles, ethical practices, values, privacy, so honesty, beneficence, autonomy, and non-maleficence. So these are all very, very important for us. Every researcher should bear in mind these before we conduct the research, because all these should, because ultimately any research, it may be any field, that is what I was telling from the beginning, like it is connected with the society. So we should bear in mind that we do justice to the work that we have undertaken. So for which all these, we can just bear it in our mind and try to be as justful as possible throughout the process of research. Yes, friends, with this basic backdrop, I think I have given an overview about how to initiate a research, what are all those that we need to take care, optimum care should be taken. So how to get along with things, the process. I didn't focus on the what do you call, the way to draft a thesis, because it differs from field to field, because we follow a particular research text, a book. Depending on it, we go for it. So that is why I didn't focus on format of the thesis. I just gave an outline how to begin a thesis, how to make our thesis an effective one, and how to make it a commendable thesis. So this is what I have focused. I have just given an outline. Hope I have satisfied the basic needs or required for a researcher, for a budding researcher. All these that I focused is for a budding researcher. So thank you, friends. And if you have any queries, if you have any questions, I'm ready. I'm open to answer.
Thank you, ma'am. The session is open for discussion now. You can unmute and interact with the resource person, or you can post your questions in the chat box also. Thank you, ma'am, and thank you all. Yeah, participants, if you have any queries, you can unmute and interact with ma'am, or you can post your queries in the chat box also.
Prior working is very, very important for a research work. Apart from whatever we have dealt it now, whatever we have came across now, I'm talking for the budding researchers here in the meet. So prior working is very, very important, because only that alone can give us a very clear mind, a confidence. Basic thing is confidence level. So only that gives us confidence. Yes, I can work on this topic. I have enough resources. I mean, I have enough sources to work on it. I am confident that I can complete my research work within the stipulated time. So this sort of confidence we will get, every researcher will get, only when we start working for it prior to the official registration. So this is what the point that I want to stress upon, because personally I have experienced the fruit of this. I have worked before I registered for my PhD. I worked for nearly 1.5 years for the area that I have taken for study. This is what I am going to take. This is naturally methodology. There may be slight change in methodology, but area of study, and this is what my hypothesis, my problem is. This is what the solution I have to give, and like this, based on it, collecting sources, primary sources, secondary sources. So these all, it gives enormous confidence for a researcher. So this is very, very important. If we go with it, no extension time is required. I can assure you, because I didn't take any extension time. I was a full-time scholar. I completed my thesis within 2 years. Within 2 years, I underlined the word. Within 2 years, and I have submitted the thesis. So it is possible only when we work prior. That is very important.
Any queries, participants?
Madam, myself Dinesh from Himachal Pradesh. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, I'm hearing. Yes.
Madam, you have mentioned in your slides research, legal research, legal research. What do you mean by legal research?
Pardon, sir. I don't get you.
You have mentioned legal research in your slides.
Yes.
What is meant by legal research? Research is research. What is legal research?
So it is there, it is there. I have given in the slide. So people who are doing legal studies, if they want to pursue, if they want to conduct research in their area of study, how they are to, what is it that they have to focus?
It is only for legal research, madam.
I have given it through the end. I have given a specific definition for it, sir.
Specific to legal research, madam, not all research.
Pardon?
Specific to legal research, not all research.
Sir, through the end, the last 5 slides you could come across, I have given the definition of legal research.
Okay, madam. Okay.
According to legal terminology, what does the term legal research means? First, I begin with a
Okay.
very broad outline about research. Then I just want to take few examples. So that's why I dealt with legal research specifically. Then economics, research in economics. Then I dealt with the other, even the pharma industry. It doesn't differ. There may be slight difference.
Okay, madam. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other queries, participants? Now we would like to hand over the session to Ms. Vandita, Student Coordinator, New Law College, Pune, to deliver the vote of thanks. Vandita, ma'am, over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, I, Vandita Rastogi, on behalf of Bharati Vidyapeeth, deemed to be University, New Law College, Artisan Cell, welcome you all for the valedictory of National Virtual FDP on Advanced Teaching, Learning, Research Pedagogy in Higher Education Institutions. Let us first of all start by giving glory and reverence to the Almighty for making this event a resounding success. First and the foremost, we thank our chief guest, Dr. T.V. Subbulakshmi ma'am, for her time and consideration for the event. Ma'am, in all veracity, you have created a tornado in the pattern of our thoughts and ideologies. We once again thank you for gracing our event with your illuminative and magnanimous presence. Bravo to the IoT Academy for bringing the best of the minds on board for this FDP. Thank you to the IoT Academy for ensuring the success of this event. We are grateful to Dr. Ujjwala Bendale, Ma'am, Dean and in charge Principal for her words of encouragement. Her guidance has always encouraged us. We thank her for her kindness, interest, hospitality and continued support. We thank our well-wisher and our faculty conveyor, Professor Rashmi Dubey Ma'am, for her vision, commitment and confidence in her students. We sincerely thank all faculty members for their sincere and active participation in these 7 days National Virtual FTP on advanced teaching, learning, and research pedagogy in higher education institutions. And finally, we leave you to resonate with this inspiring quote by Abraham Lincoln. He said, and I quote, "Things may come to those who wait, but only the things left by those who hustle." Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am.